Hello everyone, welcome back to, well, what have I been watching since my last episode of What Have I Been Watching, which was about, I don't know, a week and a half ago or something like that. Physical media wise, I've got this little pile to go through here of stuff that I have watched, and we'll talk about the cinema and TV aspect as well. So let's find out what has gone on viewing wise for me. Hello everyone, welcome back to AJ's Movie Place, and a little talk away from the sort of negative of my collecting and my current thought process about are things worth it and all this sort of thing that I'm going through at the moment. I'm enjoying going through it actually, but yeah, let's get a bit more positive. We've talked about things that I've actually watched. Cinema, TV and physical media. Now I'm going to hit TV and cinema. Actually, I'll do cinema first because I haven't seen anything at the cinema in the last week and a half. Any new releases or that. So that's that one aside. Easy, out of the way, done, dusted, off it goes. TV. I was looking for a new episode of Dexter. Fantastic. There wasn't one on. There wasn't one on last week. A week break from Dexter. So that was a bit unfortunate. I was a bit disappointed by that because I really have been enjoying the new season of Dexter, the prequel series. It's actually very good. So the only other thing that I have watched TV wise was the final episode of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Yeah, which kind of left us hanging in a sense. It tied up the story, but there were loose plot threads regarding certain characters. Jude Law character who was stuck in that tower, or was in that tower at the end where the big robot was running everything. Now, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I sort of enjoyed it, but I didn't. It wasn't bad, but it was okay. It wasn't really Star Wars, but it had little elements of Star Wars in it. I don't really know where to say, or how to say where this show sits for me. I think in my mind, I need to disconnect this show from Star Wars completely. Seriously, I need to have a disconnect in my mind for this program. I don't know, really. I don't know. I mean, I know it's got quite good reviews and all this sort of stuff, but no one could look at this show and think, this is what I want Star Wars to be. This is what I want from Star Wars. Part of it kind of reminds me some of these sort of non-canonical Star Wars from the older comics, some of the older comics where it was sort of implied that Earth was a part of the Star Wars universe, only Earth was hidden somewhere. It had been moved, it had been I don't know, lost out there somewhere, sort of a thing. And you know, I've got to ask whether that was one of the ideas for this show in its conception, because it would make sense if they sort of done, this was Earth and these were people from Earth and they found a ship from and took it out, and that sort of nonsense, and then just reworked and said, no, that's a silly idea, which it is a silly idea. I wouldn't want to see that. Who honestly would? But it kind of had that kind of a feel to it. And yeah, I'm just not sure on this one. I don't think it would actually be a Star Wars show I would ever care to revisit. However, if they do a second series, I'll see what the second series has to say. So anyway, we're going to get into some films now. This pile of films here that I just showed at the beginning. And we're going to take a look at what I've been watching. And this is in no real particular order. So, okay. So, first of all, I watched the movie Jackie Brown. Now, okay, I'll say first of all. It's not first of all. It was a couple of days ago. Now, I'm not sure. I think I've got a video out on Saturday where you see me take this off of the shelf and I say, I haven't watched this film yet. I've got to put it on the side to watch it. That video was obviously filmed before me watching this film, Jackie Brown. Now, Jackie Brown is the only Quentin Tarantino film that I had never seen, and it was picked up rather cheap. I didn't think this was a very good movie. I'm going to get shot for this, I know, because there's a lot of Quentin Tarantino lovers out there. But for me, I feel that this is probably one of his weakest movies. Seriously, you know, this film is something like 2 hours and 35 minutes long. And I was sat there and I was waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. And it wasn't until 1 hour and 15 minutes into the movie that a plot element was introduced that actually said, okay, this is where the film's going. However, you've now only got 1 hour and 15 minutes left to tell this story. Obviously, it's a story about, you know, all these different people trying to do one over on each other to try and get this money that was the thing he's trying to get, Sam Jackson's trying to get into the country, and all this sort of nonsense. So you've got a great cast in this. You know, you've got Robert Forster, you've got Michael Keaton. I love Michael Keaton. You've got Sam Jackson, you've got Robert De Niro, and you know, and Pam Grier, obviously. Now, Robert De Niro, I felt was wasted, completely wasted in this movie, right? In that his role was pointless. It served very little to nothing to the plot. He had very little to do, and he probably just done the film to work with Quentin Tarantino, which is a real shame. Sam Jackson was getting on my nerves in this movie. You know, it's kind of like, okay, I'm done with Sam Jackson and Quentin Tarantino. I know that a lot of the films with Sam Jackson came after this kind of a thing, but I'm kind of done with Sam Jackson in Quentin Tarantino movies, I was thinking throughout. The only people who get anything to do in this movie really is Robert Forster, Sam Jackson, and Pam Grier. Now, Pam Grier started getting on my nerves immensely because I couldn't work out whether she'd had a stroke and she couldn't use one side of her face, because a lot of the time she was just like, her mouth was off to the side, and it really started bugging me when that happened in this movie. She's a very attractive woman here, you know, I can't deny that, but every time it really, really did wind me up. Michael Keaton, again, wasted, much like Robert De Niro, very little to do in the movie as the copper. Honestly, I wouldn't watch that again. I wouldn't watch that again. And I'm thinking of actually starting a pile of films to get rid of, to reduce this collection even more. Watch them and make a decision. Certainly, that will not be watched again. It won't. So that could be the first one on said pile of films to go. In the bin. I'm not going to do that with the next one. Do not worry. I couldn't care less if I bin them now. Really, I don't care. So I watched this the other day, and it's got nothing to do with President Trump's inauguration or anything like that. It's just coincidence, okay? Sheer coincidence that I watch a film about the American president. In this case, it was Air Force One. I watched Air Force One. I haven't seen this film in what feels like a very, very long time. And you know what? I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It's obviously Die Hard on an airplane. The American president, Gary Oldman, Glenn Close, Tia Leone's husband. What's his face again? Oh, his name was in my head and now it's gone. William H. Macy. William H. Macy, that's the fella. Yeah, William H. Macy. But no, you know, okay, some of the effects are a little bit dated now in this movie. But seriously, this is a thoroughly enjoyable actioner from Wolfgang Peterson, with some good performances from Harrison Ford and Gary Oldman. When does Gary Oldman not give a good performance? That's the question there. Yeah, it's a worthy Die Hard rip-off movie. I can't, you know, I can't not say that about it. It was a lot of fun. Had fun with it. I don't know why it's taken me so long to revisit that movie. There's probably loads of films in the collection behind me of old that are really, really good. Speaking of a movie of old, now this is Gareth's fault over at Video Tasties that I watched this movie, because he sent me an image or I sent him an image of my making of books. He sent me an image back of his making of books. I saw a making of book. I went and bought it. When it came through, I then went and watched the film. Saving Private Ryan, Tom Hanks. I remember going to see this in 1998, wasn't it? In the cinema, up in London's West End. And do you know what? I was blown away. I love this film. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's got a lot of war cliches in it with some of the characters, you know, the coward, and, you know, there's a lot of cliches in war films and that sort of thing that you always tend to get. And it's quite a cliched movie in that sense. But, you know, it was a good film. And do you know what? I was in tears at the end for some unknown. I've seen the film several times, obviously, but I was in a very emotional space at the point when I watched this film, and I was in tears. But what can I say? It just. I don't know where I was. I was very, very funny, in a very funny position mentally when I watched that, and it upset me. Speaking of Tom Hanks, we're going to carry on with, you know, I came from that, and the very next day after watching that, I went and watched another Tom Hanks film, that being Forrest Gump. Yeah, Forrest Gump. Again, they just don't make films like this anymore, do they? They really don't make films like this anymore. Forrest Gump is a great film. I thoroughly enjoy it. Funny thing is, I remember my first watch of Forrest Gump, and it was a pirate copy. Yeah, I watched a pirate copy of Forrest Gump back in the day when it first came out. I didn't see it in the cinema, and I didn't think much of it. However, I do believe there may have been some scenes missing from the pirate that I watched. I then obviously watched the film again when it came out, and I liked it a bit more, and it really grew on me to the point now that I sat down and like Saving Private Ryan before it, the day before, I'm in tears at the end of the movie. Seriously, I'm upset. I'm crying because I don't know. It's such an emotional journey, an emotional film, you know. And the bits that get me, I'll be honest, the bits that get me is the bit where Forrest is introduced to his son, played by a very young Haley Joel Osment, Sixth Sense, and he takes a step back and that sort of thing, and he's welling up himself, and he asks Jenny if young Forrest is like him, is stupid like him. And even though there's other bits in the film where, you know, Forrest says, you know, I may not be a smart man, but I know what love is, and that sort of stuff, right? At this point is the kind of you realise that Forrest Gump is very much aware of what is wrong with him, even though he lives life on this I mean, the feather at the beginning of the film, that's the metaphor for Forrest Gump and his life, that it's just on a breeze. It just takes him, and it takes him to all these places, meets these famous people, and that has no impact on him in a sense. Like, he doesn't have a realization of the impact that he's having on people, that, you know, he just lives this life like. But yeah, you know, but that scene is powerful, and, you know, and then there's so many little bits in this film, fantastic bits. You know, I'm talking like, you know, Forrest is on the bench from the beginning of the film, and he sat there with his little box of chocolates. You know, Mum always said life was like I can't do the voice. Life was like a box of chocolates. You know, you never know what you're going to get, but you don't know that he's there to go and find Jenny, to go and see Jenny after not seeing her for a long time. But you're told later in the film, because Forrest goes to see Jenny, you know, in one of his story flashbacky type bits, and he's carrying the same box of chocolates. I don't mean literally the same box of chocolates. I mean, but the same sort of white box with the ribbon, same ribbon around it. And that's a telltale that's where he's going to see her, because he's getting to these chocolates again. You know, and the whole ping pong thing, when he does the ping pong, and the geezer says to him that, you know, the trick to ping pong is don't take your eye off of the ball. And whenever he's playing ping pong for the army, he doesn't take his eye off the ball. His eye is always on the ball. But you go to the end of the film when he's now sort of playing ping pong with young Forrest, and he does this silly shot that flies off out of nowhere. You look, he's not looking at the ball. He's looking at his son. He's enamoured by his son, and that's the reason why it's just fantastic filmmaking. You know what I mean? Whether you like it or not, you don't make films like that anymore. Talking of films that, you know, they don't make films like that anymore, let's jump forward a bit in time. And I decided to watch, I don't know why, the Meg. Yeah, I like shark films. You know, Jaws is my favourite film of all time. The Meg. First Meg film. I didn't get around to the second one, but I watched the first one. And, well, I can watch it, okay? It's not a great film. It's nowhere near as good as the book. Nowhere near whatsoever. Currently, I'm actually reading the third book in the series. And what can I say? It's, you know, it's been some time since, it's probably been about 4 or 5 years since I read the second book. The second book I read on a cruise around the Mediterranean. That was before COVID. So that's how much time has actually passed. And I've had this third book since then. But yeah, I'm halfway through the book. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. You know, yeah, Jonas Taylor, who's played by Jason Statham. He's nothing like the character in the book or anything like that. But it's a film that I can watch, and for the most part, I can enjoy it for its stupidity. But yeah, that's it. The Meg. Another one, and this was a purchase from I think last month. I got this. I think I did. Yeah, I'm not sure if did I show it in my December pickups, or is this part of January pickups? I'd have to watch my December pickups actually. But it was G.I. Jane. Demi Moore. I think I did show this in my pickups. I can't remember. But anyway, G.I. Jane, Demi Moore, Ridley Scott, when, you know, Ridley Scott was pretty decent as a director. He's not that great now, you know, he's a bit far past it. Good performances, you know, it's a decent film. I don't know whether it's outdated now for the message that it wants to give. Very probably. I didn't want to start delving into that element of it and think too much about that side of it. But as a film, yeah, it's a decent flick. The only thing I can say is that when these American, you know, Marines are running around in their, or Navy SEALs, whatever they are, running around in their little shorts, they look incredibly gay. I know that's probably really politically incorrect to say, but yeah, they look a bit questionable, the shorts, that is. But yeah, you know, it was, yeah, enjoyable film. I liked it. We'll come back to some Blu-rays in a minute. It's just at the moment I've come to a DVD. So I watched the final 2 episodes and have started season 3. So I've only watched 3 episodes of this since my last... what have I been watching? And it is the TV show Elementary. So I watched the final 2 episodes of this, which kind of continue and finish up this sort of Mycroft Holmes story where he's working for MI6 and, you know, all this stuff going on. And Jane Watson ends up leaving Sherlock. She wants to go and find her own apartment, this sort of a thing. And, you know, I'm really enjoying this TV series. You know, obviously I watched a few of them back in the day. I think I watched the first season and a half before, whatever reason, I gave up on watching it. It wasn't because of the quality of the show. It was more because of the amount of stuff at the time that I was watching. It just got lost in amongst that. And I did prefer the British TV show Sherlock with what's his face. That is better than this, but this is good in its own right for what it does. And then we got on to series 2. This, like I said, this at the end, this leaves with her wanting to leave living with him asking MI6 to join, and then we started watching season 3. We had it about a week later, and my missus goes, "Oh, have I missed something? Have I missed something? What's going on?" Because season 3 starts and it puts these characters into a different place where obviously an element of time has passed, but my missus isn't thinking that because we're watching it in quick succession. And I had to say to her, "Look, you're probably looking at about 6 months have passed since," and the episode will tell you what's going on. Just watch it, it will all come to light. But as TV shows, to keep them kind of fresh and renewed, things have to change. Friction has to occur between characters, and it'll be a little while, and then they'll get back to normal and this sort of a thing. So obviously, when season 3 opens, Joan Watson has got her own sort of detective agency. She's working with the NYPD. Holmes himself has actually left. He didn't even say goodbye to her. He just left her a five sentence note or something that he was going, and he's gone back to London to work for MI6. But here we are. We catch up 6 months later. She's doing what she does. He comes back to New York because he's quit with MI6. Thought that was a bit of lazy writing, you know, that he teased one thing at the end of one season, and then at the beginning of the next, you've just outright sort of scrapped it. Holmes has got a new protege, this young English girl that I've seen from something. I'm not sure what I've seen her from. I think I know, but I can't remember the name of it. She's very annoying in that first episode. I don't like her very much. But yeah, it's a decent show, and I'm enjoying it. I think Johnny Lee Miller's very good as this character, or what he does with his version of Sherlock Holmes. Even what's-her-face, Lucy Liu as Thingy is pretty damn good in it. The one thing I find with this show, and I have stopped, is it seems to be that every other episode I'm watching and I say, what's that person been in? I know that person from something, and I have to jump onto IMDb because the old brain ain't, the old ticker's not as good as it once was. And remembering these silly bits of information, that's probably a good thing that I'm ejecting that stuff from the mind. So much useless information up here that I really don't need. And it happened in this episode, in this first episode, and I was like, who's that? Who the hell is that woman? It was Gina Gershon, you know, from Bound, the movie with Jennifer Tilly. That's her name, isn't it? Jennifer Tilly, yeah. And I was like, who's that? Who's she? But then her name came up in the words. Of course, it's Gina Gershon. Jesus Christ, how didn't I know that? And then obviously this English girl came up. And I thought, no, I'm not even going to bother looking. I'm fed up. Every episode, I'm looking to see who this person is and what do I know them from. It winds me up. But yeah, so but I'm enjoying my revisits of that. Now, the next film I watched is, all the next 3 are kind of very much thematically connected in a sense, and you will see this. So I watched this next film because I think Kino Lorber in America have released a 4K version. And I was talking to Matt about it, Matt over at Matt V's Movies, because I think he has DVD. He wanted to get the 4K. I said I didn't like the art on the 4K cover at all. I didn't like the art on the postcard thing that comes within. But talking about the film inspired me to take it off the shelf and go and watch it. And again, it's a film that I haven't watched for some considerable time. Michael Crichton, Congo. Yeah, Congo, you know, what about the monkeys, and you got that, is it Amy, the name of the monkey that does sign language, and you know, the diamonds and the missing city and all this sort of a thing. It's got a good cast as well. You got Ernie Hudson in it, you know. I wasn't too keen on Ernie Hudson's performance in this film. It did kind of annoy me. Tim Curry is in the film as the sort of bad guy, or not bad, he's not bad, he's got his own agenda and greedy, that sort of an individual. Bruce Campbell at the beginning, yeah, he dies off. He's there to die. Which is shame. I do like Bruce Campbell. Briscoe County Jr. I should start watching that again. The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. Do like that. So anyway, you know, I like this film. I do like this film. And I think that I've preferred it on this watch than any other watch. And I think that's probably because I've matured more. And I probably ain't seen this film in maybe 15, 20 years, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I really appreciated the apes and the you know, the suits that the apes were and the animatronic faces and this sort of a thing. It's not overly heavy on CGI. It is with the lava at the end, but the rest of it, you know, and then you've got the elements of when the volcanoes erupting and the ground's all breaking up, very kind of Star Trek 3 Search for Spock, and the ground, it looks great, and that sort of thing we've done with CGI today, but it's all done practically here, and it looks fantastic. It really does. And yeah, it's a really enjoyable film. I mean, it's not a contender for, like, you know, top 10 movies of all time for me or anything like that, but it's one that I can look at and I'll say, you know what, I will watch that again at some point because I had fun with it. I enjoyed it immensely. Would I get the 4K? Would I get the 4K if it comes out here? No, I'm fine with the Blu-ray. That's, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It looked fine. I had no issue with it whatsoever. Now, the next film I watched, like I said, was this one here. And I bought these. I bought these when the fourth film came out. Okay, because I said to myself, you know, I ain't got the first two of these on 4K. I've now got the fourth one on 4K Steelbook. I've got the third one on 4K Steelbook. But the first two I've just got on standard Blu-ray. So let's get rid of the standard Blu-rays. And let's get 4Ks. And I got them in a sale, not Steelbooks. I go to Amarais to Steelbooks. That doesn't bother me in the least whatsoever. But the film is Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I remember this coming out, and this is a really good film. So it's, you know what I mean? It was, you know, oh, new Planet of the Apes film, or, you know, it's going to be whatever. And it blew me away when it came out. I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. I thought it looked great. Okay, now some of the effects are looking a little bit questionable. Some of the CGI at times in it, but yeah, it's a good film, and it's got John Lithgow in it. John Lithgow, Dexter's best nemesis. You know, season 4 of Dexter. John Lithgow's a great actor, and obviously it stars James Franco. Although he's a bit of a creep, you know, all that stuff that came out about him. I can't not look at him and think, hey, you're a bit of a creep. Kind of puts me off. I'm surprised I got through the film, to be honest, with him being in it, because I'm not usually affected like that. Do you know what I mean? You know, I know that the geezer who played Flash, Ezra Miller, is a complete scumbag, but I can watch The Flash and I can enjoy it. But for some reason, there's something about James Franco that I can't, and he's probably not as, is he as bad as Ezra Miller? I don't know, but it's James Franco, and I don't know. But I got through the film, I enjoyed it, and there we go. So you can probably guess what the next one is, and this is the last watch that I did. Like I said, these are in no particular order. Obviously, these two films came one after the other. We watched them at the weekend, and I'm pretty sure in my next one of these, I'll talk about War for the Planet of the Apes, and to be honest, I may well visit Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes as well, because my missus likes the Planet of the Apes films. She likes the old ones and the TV show, and yeah, so I might revisit. I'll do War at the weekend, I'll do Kingdom at the weekend, and it's making me want to revisit the Mark Wahlberg one. Yeah, I know. It's not a good film, is it? But I want to try it again. That's probably been 15, 20 years since I last saw that. What was that, 2000 it came out? So it's making me want to kind of revisit that one as well. And I think it's in a box set that I've got, where I've got the Caesar head, and the thing in that has got all the films in it, the old and, well, actually it's got Blu-rays of the first two of these in it. I had them standard and like that. Mental, but there we go. So obviously Dawn for the Planet of the Apes. Very, very strong film. Matt Reeves, considering I'm not a fan of his Batman film, this is a great film. And straight away you can see a vast difference in the special effects for the apes between Rise and this. In this, they look spot on. They you know what I mean, they look fantastic. Obviously Jason Clarke is in this. Gary Oldman, obviously. Gary Oldman. Good performance. 2 Gary Oldman performances here I've watched this week and a half. It's just coincidence. Saying that, William H. Macy being in Gary Oldman, Air Force One, William H. Macy in Air Force One, William H. Macy in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Sorry, my little mind's just going to connecting dots there. But Dawn for the Planet of the Apes. So yeah, you know, very well written. I like the story. I like the Koba element and what he does, because, you know, you've got this distrust between humans and ape, and you've got the kind of Gary Oldman character who really doesn't trust the apes. You've got the Koba character who doesn't trust the humans, but you've got, you know, you've got Caesar who again starts to trust, you know, because he knows how good humans can be, with a Jason Clarke character trying to bring things together. But you've got these other elements who are kind of hell-bent on not bringing them together, more so Koba. And yeah, it's just a really intensely written film that looks fantastic. Again, Jason Clarke, keep saying the geezer's name right. He's fine. I like him in this. I think he's pretty good in this film. Do you know what I don't like him in? Terminator Genesis. I hate him in that film. Probably worse, John Connor. I don't know what it is about him in that movie, but I hate him as an actor. Based on that film, I don't like this actor. Based on this film, he's pretty damn good. I think I can take him or leave him, most definitely. I won't watch a project just because he's in it, but I think that he's divisive as an actor for me, that I could watch him in something and say, yeah, he's all right in that. And I hate him in that. I like him in that kind of a thing. But yeah, you know, this is, yeah, it's a very good film. And, you know, the scene where Koba throws the young ape, I forget the young ape's name, Rocket's son, Ajax, no, Ash, his name's Ash, where he throws him drags him along up them stairs and along corridor, and then throws him over the balcony. You know what I mean? That's like, oh, I remember seeing that for the first time, and I felt really bad for him. Not Rocket, not Koba. Yeah, it's just a very good film. What can I say? I like I like the renewed Planet of the Apes franchise. You know, I don't even, as divisive as this may sound, I've got no interest in revisiting the old Planet of the Apes films. In fact, I find the very first Charlton Heston one a difficult watch. It's got no soundtrack to it, has it? It's got no musical score or element to it to help that film along. And I just find it a very difficult watch now. I used to like them. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever revisit the original Planet of the Apes movies. Shocking, I know. But there we go. But, you know, this actually ends, at the end, there's kind of like an end credits scene, but it's not a scene, it's sound, and it's of rubble moving, which kind of implies that Koba didn't die. Obviously the Koba story wasn't continued in War for the Planet of the Apes. That's probably for the best, because by the end of this film, I think that Koba's story has been told. I wouldn't really need to see Koba come back into another one. I can't see anything. And that's obviously probably what they thought as well, that, you know, there's nothing we can really do anymore with Koba that would be fresh. So there we go. I go back to Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I do like, you know, the little sort of like the Icarus, you know, the Charlton Heston rocket taking off, you know, on the news report, and then the sort of Lost in Space blurb on the front of the newspaper that you see. So these elements occurred after that rocket or at that point where that rocket was taken off. I would love to see this franchise, you know, progress to the point that we see the Icarus come through, but we get it from that perspective, the kind of ape perspective of it, and you know, do something with that. Not necessarily tell the same story as what was told before, mix it up a little bit, do something fresh with it, but have that element introduced. Yeah, I'd like that a lot. But anyway, so they were the watches for the past week and a half. Let me know your thoughts on some of these down below. What you think of these films? Do you like them? Do you dislike them? What have you been watching? TV, cinema, physical media? Let me know. And yeah, and you know, I'll be back soon, inevitably, with a bit of negativity, no doubt. Yeah, Saturday for that. I'll see you then. Take care.